Hi everyone, and welcome to Tackle the Feelings Before the Behavior. So this is my third attempt because some people just came up and interrupted my video, so it must have been the wrong video to do, and I'll do another one. But anyway, today I was only going to do a little tips video, and as I was walking through the beautiful forest here at the Umgani River, like I usually do, I suddenly thought, I really want to do a video on desensitization. This will be my contribution to George Floyd's death and all the racism and police brutality and everything that's going on at the moment. You know, what can I contribute is what's been going through my head. Because I've got a lot of thoughts. We all do. We all have so many opinions. But, you know, I come from emotional regulation and the psychotherapy side of things, and I want to help. I don't want to fuel all this powerlessness that I'm seeing, this disgust and powerlessness and shame and anger. I don't want to fuel that. I want to fuel healing. I want to fuel insight. I want to fuel change. And I think a lot of us feel that way. We want to fuel change. And so why did I choose desensitization to talk about in relation to this? It's something South Africans will understand and relate to quite a bit. We see so much hardship every single day, everywhere we go. If you are more privileged, I would consider myself very privileged in South Africa, the color of my skin, but also where I live and what I do. And I can assure you, I'm definitely not rolling in dough and in my abundance yet. But I definitely am privileged. Just the fact that I'm sitting here on my phone being able to do this shows that I'm more privileged than most in my country. And it is heartbreaking, but we can't immerse ourselves in it every day, not even daily, sometimes not even weekly. We cannot immerse ourselves in everything going on. And a lot of people used to come overseas and do a stint here in South Africa, and they can't understand why it seems like nobody cares. No one cares about all those people in informal settlements. No one cares about what's going on to people, and that isn't actually the case. It looks like it is, but it isn't. What happens is we do get desensitized. And now there's a negative connotation to desensitization. It is. It's like you've just seen it so much, it just doesn't even affect you anymore. But actually, desensitization is a coping mechanism. Because if our psyches and emotional bodies were to connect empathically to everybody we saw, all the beggars and the heartbreak and the prostitutes and the deaths and the murders and the everything. I mean, myself, my mother was murdered, you know, in my own home by 15-year-old boys, it was an accident, they gagged her too tightly. You know, we hear these horrific stories and they happen to us, and we can't take them all in. And most people sit with a level of trauma. I certainly do. I've got PTSD from what happened to me. Well, I've been healing PTSD. It's a journey. It really is. I'm definitely not how I was. But we have to protect ourselves, because if we don't, and disgust is the emotion, and I've been talking about disgust a lot, and disgust, I believe, is when we have that, like, we can't take it. We can't take what could happen to us, what happens to other people, what we're living with, the powerlessness, the judgment, the stereotypes, the us versus them, the right versus wrong, morals, values, the works. When we can't handle it, when we feel so powerless in that, we dissociate. Or when it taps into our trauma from abuse, from atrocities, from hardship, from the bad stuff that's happened to us, from the trauma. When we dissociate, we're protecting our psyche. We really are. We're protecting ourselves from schizophrenia and just a complete breakdown and splitting off of everything, because we can't process it. We don't actually have the skills to do it, and it's not even about skills. It's just too much. Our unconscious is there for a reason. It buries stuff to help us so that it can give it to us in manageable chunks. That's why we dream as well. So our unconscious can help us process in a way that we can handle, that we don't crack it. We don't have a breakdown. And so what's happening in this pandemic at the moment is that the veil is coming off, the truth is coming out, and the desensitization is no longer being able to exist. No matter how hard we try in this pandemic, we can't turn a blind eye, we can't put our heads in the sand, and we can't ignore what we've been living with in this world, in our own countries, in our own towns, and in our own homes, in our own relationships, in the world. We can't ignore it anymore. And a lot of us are struggling with our mental health because of it. And that's why we need to understand. Sometimes we need to take a step away. Sometimes if we are feeling like we're burning out from everything, we can't be in the fight. We can't be advocating. We can't be all over social media trying to change the world ourselves. We need to realize that we need to look after ourselves right now. It's a bumpy ride, folks. It's a bumpy ride. It's not going to get easier for a little while. I actually don't know when it's going to get easier. We're going to have to adapt. That's kind of what I've come to. I think we're going to have to adapt. We're going to have to create new things to help us cope. We're going to have to create new ways that we can make it in this new world with the kinds of things. Because in order to change something, we have to acknowledge it. The denial is going. The veil is lifted. People are awakening to the truth. They're becoming conscious to what the reality is. And there's no clear right and wrong. We can criticize police, but many of us, some of us, the police have helped me tremendously in my past. What do we do without police? Some of us, and then we think about, I'm a white person and people of color murdered my mother, and we all have a story and we all have something to share, and the thing is, we're all human, and we've got to fight for what's right in terms of systems, not white is better than black, and fat is better than thin, and tall is better than short. No more comparisons. We need to live in a world where there is equality and fairness based on where people are at, who they are, and we need to learn tolerance and empathy and compassion. That is the antidote to disgust. So I hope that's been helpful. Please ask questions if you need to. I'll keep making videos around this topic, I think, little by little, hey? One day at a time. Take care, guys. Bye.